Want to welcome everyone to the Achieving Your Optimal Health webinar. It's really cool that we have actually now we're closing in on 1 year of doing these webinars, and I put them on my Las Vegas Area Trails website because it's the closest thing I have to a health website. I'm an internet marketer myself, but my first love is health, and so I've gathered people around me that are their focus is health, and actually um, assumed ownership of the Las Vegas Health and Fitness Chamber of Commerce about 6 weeks ago. And that has been an exciting experience. But so health has always been very important to me. And so about a year ago, we started this webinar. So you click on the health education link here, and you can see all the themes that we have had in this health webinar. We've got a team of about 6 to 8 people who have provided some amazing, just packed with value webinars. And Holly's tonight is I've already seen her PowerPoint. I've got to say, I'm excited to hear what she's going to share. But you can click on any of these links here, and let's just go ahead, and we're going to click on Holly's. And what you'll see here is the benefits of the webinar, about Holly. When the webinar is finished, you'll see a webinar replay. So every single webinar we've done has a video replay here. And so I just want to use this opportunity then. Let's just go right into Holly's webinar. And the main things that you can prepare to learn here are the effects of acute fear, the effects of chronic fear, understanding the conditioning of fear, 2 types of disruptive emotional energy, the difference between your story and energy, what are painful emotions, what are reactive emotions, a simple way to understand emotions, and learn 2 ways to resolve fear quickly. So overcoming the impact of fear. And then by the end of the webinar, our hope is that you will have these benefits, that you increase the awareness of disruptive emotional energy when it occurs. Know how to identify what kind of emotional energy is happening. Know how to assess your unique, pure awareness state, and know how to resolve the disruptive energy and return to a neutral space to be completely present. And believe me, fear is definitely an issue, and definitely we're in the midst of a pandemic, worldwide pandemic, and we don't know when we leave the house, or when we think of next month or the month after. For the first time in a long time, we can't say for sure what our life is going to be like, and what the lives of the people that we love and we know are going to be like. We've seen our businesses and our networking totally disrupted, and so Holly's going to help us to move forward, achieve some skills to move forward, and overcome fear in this time. A little bit about Holly. She is an RN, a CTH HSE, which is oh gosh, Holly, with these letters, I know
Certified
TRS.
certified tribal healer, trauma resolution
Okay.
specialist,
Thank
inner
you.
greatness coach.
Okay. Very unique healer. And, she spans traditional medicine and also our alternative medicine. And also something really cool about Holly is that just a few months ago, she joined the Red Rock Search and Rescue. So, imagine we could be sending Holly out into scenes like what you see behind me, searching for people and then being there to offer healing. Um, so anyway, she began her career as a nurse, working as a nursing assistant in geriatrics starting at age 14. She graduated from the University of Kentucky, obtained her registered nurse license in 1978, and maintained a CCRN license as a neurosurgical trauma ICU nurse at Loma Linda University Medical Center in Loma Linda, California, and at Barrow Neurological Institute at St. Joseph's Hospital in Phoenix, Arizona. And in 1992, after a severe illness, which included post traumatic stress, seizures, and a near death experience, she deepened her personal search for healing and now uses energy techniques based on quantum physics, Native American traditions, ancient healing traditions, and innovative technology. She began her studies in energy medicine in 1992, and since 1996 has owned her own practice. Holly's been a teacher throughout her career, first training nurses in ICU, then as a national, international trainer for BICOM and bioresonance technology, and now in classes of her own design. Holly spent 10 years studying with Native American Sir J. Running Wolf Martell, who ordained Holly as a Golden Eagle minister and trained her as a shamanic touch practitioner, Reiki master, and teacher. She attended the Institute of Regulatory Medicine in Munich, Germany, and is a bioresonance practitioner. She managed New Hope Clinic, a specialized bioresonance cancer clinic in Tijuana, Mexico, that treated cancer patients and chronic illnesses. Holly is trained as a trauma resolution specialist and inner greatness coach to assist in resolution of mental, emotional, and spiritual issues, including PTSD, depression, and anxiety. She's continually expanding her studies to bring new technologies to her clients. So I got to say that this webinar is being delivered by a unique person. You could not recreate this background if you tried. So we're just really privileged to hear what Holly's gonna say from bringing from her background, how to overcome fear. So Holly, I'm gonna turn it over to you, and let's see, let me stop sharing the screen, and it's all yours.
All right. Well, thank you, David. That was really a nice introduction. Let me get on my screen share. Before I start, I'd like to say in my 30s, and I'm now in my 60s, I had a lot of surfacing of childhood sexual abuse memories. And when they came up, before I could have the memory, instead of having the memory, that's when my brain would shut down and I would have seizure activity. And the prognosis was very poor. I was told at that time there was probably maybe a 5% chance I would ever recover. And I looked that doctor in the eyes and I said, I don't believe you. I'll find a way. And I did. It's what set me on my path in alternative medicine and coming out of critical care. And my whole guidance in life was how to clear my own PTSD and how to become a better responsive person in my life instead of a reactive person. And it took me many years and many pathways to do that healing. And when I found something that was so simple, it almost blew my mind that it worked so well. But that's really kind of what I want to share with you today as we talk about fear, because fear can be something that you're going through in the moment, or it can be chronic. And chronic can be something that's lasted for any amount of time, that it becomes chronic whenever it locks in the neural pathways and the brain to overreact in the same way. It's used to reacting. So, so I have resolved my PTSD through using what I'm going to be talking to you about today. And so do not underestimate the simpleness of it. Okay, let me screen share. We're going to go here and share. And then I'm going to go up here just so I can see what my, so David, it's just got you as the person, and I'm going to just turn that off. Okay, so the impact of fear and solutions to resolve fear. Again, this is really what does fear do to you? And to me, it's more than just fear. Fear is it's a fear-based reaction. So a lot of our anger, sadness, grief, those type of things are actually coming from a fear-based system for us. So it's really the impact of a fear-based system. Let's see here if we can move forward. And it's not moving forward.
The down arrow on your computer might help you.
Nope. It's not shifting.
Arg.
Interesting. Usually when you hit enter, let me escape for a minute and see what's, matter of fact, my screen seems almost
You've
frozen.
frozen.
Hang on a minute. I'll get it back. Figure out what, oh, there we go. Okay. So fight or flight. Most everybody's heard about fight or flight reaction that happens to us when we become frightened. Our breathing increases, the heart rate increases, the peripheral blood vessels constrict. That means the blood vessels out in your extremities. Central blood vessels dilate. That means it's going to give more blood to the heart and to some internal organs. The muscles pump up with blood, and even your hair follicles will pump up at the muscle of the hair follicle, and it will make hair to stand up on end, and that's called piloerection. Your glucose levels will increase. That's your sugar levels. Calcium and red blood cell levels increase to handle the load of needing increased oxygen to the cells, the muscle cells especially. Blood pressure increases, and there's reduced activity in the stomach and the intestines. And the reason for this is you're not going to need to be digesting your food while you're either fighting or running from something or running away from it. And tears and saliva are inhibited. Now, the interesting thing is not just fight or flight, there's also another one that's part of the fight-flight response, and that's collapse. A lot of times you'll see this on scary movies when people won't run. They just stand there and you're like, run, run, but they can't run because their fight-flight reaction has frozen them, and they are someone that responds to fight-flight by collapsing. And animals will do that too, so that if they're not moving, something won't chase them and will just leave them alone. I'm more interested right now about chronic fear because it's becoming chronic fear. It's been, since January we heard about this virus, and then we all ended up being in shutdown, lockdown, masks, afraid to go out, social distancing. And this becomes a chronic fear if we're not resolving it as we move along. And I have to say, I've been in a state of calmness and peace and very rarely felt fear. And when I do, I just resolve it and I'm back to the peace and calm. And I feel like that does more for the morphogenic field for me to be putting love and peace and calm in it than fear. But what chronic fear will actually do will weaken the immune system. So if you're staying in fear, you have a bigger chance of getting a virus or a bacteria or getting sick in some way. There's also cardiovascular damage from high blood pressure, heart rates that are fast, and it could even create heart arrhythmias where the heart is not even beating regularly. And over time, that can lead to the cardiovascular damage. Headaches, panic anxiety attacks, depression, phobias, like phobias. Think about it now. I mean, if you go out, you're always, if somebody touched my cart, oh, I better wash my hands. It's like some people take this to the extreme and even become very OCD about it. So we're kind of all becoming OCD right now. And, just doing something again and again because it makes us feel safe. Gastrointestinal damage, such as ulcers and irritable bowel syndrome. Again, this is because of the hormones that have stimulate the gastric secretions are not acting normally. So it can create damage to that whole lining. Decreased fertility showed that sperm decreases how it moves. And when women are stressed, a lot of times they don't take on the egg when they're trying to get pregnant either. It can accelerate aging, make you look older, make everything start being older, internal organs are older, and premature death related to all of these issues. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to say about that. Also, the cardiac, when the cardiac their heart starts beating really fast, for a lot of people, why it kind of goes into panic anxiety attacks is because it will stimulate and intensify the feelings of fear. And so it becomes a cycle, and the heart then starts beating in arrhythmias, and a lot of people will think they're having a heart attack when it is a panic anxiety attack, and it can feel very real because you will feel it in the chest where the heart is. So the sequence of how you are fear-based conditioned, this usually happens in early childhood, really. How your parents responded to fear, how those teachers responded to fear, how the whole community you're around responded to fear. But you may first have a trauma, such as frequently being overwhelmed and not getting your needs met, separation, pain, death of a family member, being abused in some way. Sometimes it's something very simple, like maybe you were at a funeral for a grandparent, and it might have been the very first time that you saw your parents cry, and it scared you. But they were really into their grief process, and so they didn't notice that you were having difficulty too. So it wasn't meant to be on their part that they didn't help you resolve that, but they didn't. They maybe ignored you during that time, and you were not able to resolve this fear. So these experiences that immediately produce fears, and they may happen over and over and over again, which they do a lot of times when we're children, you may become deeply conditioned to make decisions and take actions really based on your fear. And this produces conditioning, and conditioning results in habits. Again, the habits form because the neural pathways get formed very early in childhood. And when they form very early in childhood, they're really hard to break later on in life because now they've become unconscious, because the first few years of your life, pre-verbal, precognitive, you don't have the words for those feelings. You don't have the words for what you're experiencing. And if no one helps you to resolve that, or there's no resolution for you, you store those energies and you create neural pathways for that memory. And then you begin to make decisions on your life based on those unconscious. Now, by the time you get to 6 or 7, you don't even know you created that because it's pre-verbal, precognitive. And now you act from the same way you may have reacted and acted when you were a child. So this is a really wonderful saying by one of my favorite people in the world, which is Albert Einstein. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form unto another. And that means the energy of fear cannot be destroyed, but it can be transformed. The truth of the matter is simple. The energy of fear and the energy of love are both just energy vibrating at different frequencies. And through your intent, you can shift the energy that feels stagnant, uncomfortable, or heavy, and make it golden, loving, and light. Love that. So there's two types of disruptive emotional energy. There's painful emotions and there's reactive emotions. And I will speak a little bit more about them later, but the painful emotions usually are emotions that were never resolved, like someone died and you've never gotten over it. You lost your pet and you've never gotten over it. Your house burned. And every time you talk about it, you get this emotional feeling and then stuff it down again. And it may have been 50 years since it happened. Then there's reactive emotions, which it's kind of like you get triggered into them by what someone else does, and it's based on really your own information that's going on in your brain. Painful emotions
I'm
are.
sorry, what?
Oh, Annie,
Okay.
Annie, I think you're not muted.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm just listening to a recording.
Or somebody's
I'll
not
come in a
muted.
bit.
Somebody's not muted.
It's Rebecca.
Oh, Rebecca, you're not muted.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay, love. So painful emotions, they're too much for you to process when they happened. Again, this is like something happened and you did not have any tools of how to handle that emotion and feel that emotion fully. So you couldn't complete the experience of that emotional reaction. And these energies can be localized and feel like a tight knot or a ball of energy somewhere on the body, inside the body. The reactive emotions are like to stories that we make up in our mind, and they really don't exist anywhere other than our mind. So reactive emotions might be something like you're going to meet a friend for dinner, and at the last minute, the friend texts you and says, "Oh, I'm not coming. I can't come. I'll talk to you later." And you're all dressed up, and you're all ready for a night full of fun with your friend. And what do? You make up some story that, oh, I guess I'm not important enough for them to come meet me, or, why did they wait to the last minute? I guess, I'm just not I'm not important to them, so you're making up stories about it. Those are reactive emotions. So energy, this is a really important aspect about really becoming conscious of your own feelings. Energy versus story. When you feel the energy of an emotion and you create the content or story to go with it, it's two separate things. There's an energy, which is how does it feel? Where do you feel it in the body? And there's a story you tell about it. So when we're doing awareness techniques, and I'm going to take you through at least one, if I'm sure we'll have time to do at least one. When you're experiencing that, the story elicits the feeling. So you might be saying, "Oh, my house burned down when I was 6 and my mother was just like, okay." So you still got the energy with the story. So one of the things that I help you to do, and I will help you to do during this, is to notice, where is that energy in your body? Where do you feel it when you're telling that story? And to get real clear, is it chest? Is it head? Get general. You don't have to be real specific. And once you get the general area, then with one finger, point to the place that you feel it the most intense. So that is where the energy is being created. And it helps your mind, gives your mind something to do other than get lost in the story. So you start separating that energy of how it feels, that uncomfortable energy, versus the story you're telling about it. Later, after you've cleared some of the energy, we go back and we have you talk about it a little bit or think about it to see if it still elicits the same energy or a similar energy. So I like this slide because, hey, what the hell is that? Oh, I just lost my mind. Does anybody else ever feel like their mind is just going, and it's full of this, and you're trying to talk to someone, but you're thinking about past or future, and you're not really present with that person. And even though you think they don't know that, they will feel that you're not really present with them. And how can you be present when you have all that going on in the mind? So this slide is really basically, when I tell you that what I do is simple, and this is what I work from, it's simple. There are types of emotions. One is useful. Now, useful energy and emotions are energizing, empowering. It's things like love, compassion, happiness, joy. That fear should be over there on the other side. I think that's why I got kind of screwed up. So it's not fear as part of this useful, but there is an aspect of fear that is very useful. If you're getting ready to step out in the road and cross the street and a car comes whizzing by and you feel fear and jump back, that has been a very useful emotion. So sometimes the things that we think are not useful, they really are useful. So when I'm talking about the other type of emotion, it's unresolved and it's not really useful to you in that time. It's very disruptive. It feels depleting. And fear can be part of that at that top there too. It can fit in both places because if it's not resolved, again, it becomes not useful. So when you're resolving these not useful emotions, I mean, and they do have their use because they're there for a reason. You felt it for a reason. So really it's more unresolved is probably a more accurate way of thinking about these emotions, unresolved. So when you have an unresolved emotion, they will feel painful and you'll feel pain internally. It's kind of like when people say, that hurts my heart, or God, that makes me sick. It is because that's where you're feeling the feeling. That's why we have those particular sayings, because they're accurate to what we're feeling. This can be traumas, emotional pain, heartbreak, resentment, grief. Again, these are all fear-based emotions. The reactive or external emotions that we're looking at are really about upset, anger, disappointment, frustration, sadness, depression, and fear, worry, anxiety, panic attacks. So all these different ones, they have a different way of dealing with them because the reactive external energy fields that you'll feel from this, from one aspect of this, will feel like it's everywhere. It won't really have a place that it seems like it's centralized on your body. So there's two different techniques to use. One's called very simply the in, and the other one the out. My mentor and teacher of this, Tom Stone, he started out with this being called the core and the C. And the core stood for center of remaining energy. But when he got the book translated into Chinese, there wasn't a way to incorporate that, so he just went simple. It's just the in technique. And the same thing with the out technique. It was the side entrance expansion. And that couldn't be translated well enough for his book, so he just calls it the out. So it makes it very simple. Two techniques, the in and the out. So experiencing pure awareness, this is the unchanging nature of our own inner essence and the awareness of that. Now, at this point, I would really like to go ahead and see if I could just take you on a really short experience of this. It won't take but a minute or two. Okay? I'm gonna read it just like I have the book that Tom Stone wrote, and this is what it looks like. The Power of How. Not The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. This is The Power of How. This is by Tom Stone. And it's got all the different ways of doing the techniques. And I just shut my book on the page I was going to read to you. So I think I just won't read it. I'll just do it with you. Because, oh, here we go. Okay, so this is how to experience pure awareness right now. Okay, again, it's just going to take a couple of seconds here. So with this one, I want you to just close your eyes. And what we're going to be doing is experiencing the background of silence in which your thoughts occur. So notice that with your eyes closed, you experience several kinds of things. You hear my voice. You may notice the feeling of your body sitting in the chair. You may notice other noises or sensations. And you will notice that there are thoughts coming to you. Notice that thoughts occur in a similar way to how we speak. They don't come in one long run-on sentence. There are pauses or gaps, however brief, in between the thoughts. Allow yourself to simply notice the gap in between the thoughts. Notice that the gaps between thoughts are truly empty. There's nothing there. The nothingness is just pure awareness without the awareness of anything else. It can be lively, but there's no object of experience. It's silent. Just simply notice that there is a silence that is in the background of your thoughts. Some people find it easier to just shift their attention from noticing the activity of the thoughts to noticing the silent background in which the thoughts are occurring. As you notice the silent background in which the thoughts are occurring, you will notice that you can be aware of the silence, even while the thoughts are coming and going. Allow yourself to simply favor noticing that silent background. Immerse yourself in that silence. If you become absorbed in thinking at the moment, just simply bring your attention back to the gap between the thoughts or the background of silence. I'm going to stop talking now and let you experience the background of silence. Great. You can open your eyes now. So this is how you experience that background of silence. This is what, when you experience that background silence, many people say it feels calm, neutral, peaceful. Sometimes people will experience it as a darkness. Some people will experience it as light. It doesn't matter, because what you're experiencing is you being aware of your awareness. And that's huge in being able to experience that. I'd like to kind of open it up right now and just see what people experienced from that. Can we do that, David?
Definitely.
Okay,
Okay, let's,
so is there someone that would like to share what they experienced from that background silence?
and unmute yourself as you share.
I can share. I have really good hearing. So when I close my eyes, I have a wider reach on my hearing. So I could pick up sounds that I wasn't hearing with my eyes open, because I'm going to amplify when I shut down one of my senses.
Yeah, yeah. And how did that background silence feel to you? Because we're talking about feelings. How did it feel? It's okay if it's nothing, but because it's a nothingness, but it might have other descriptions for you.
I don't know if I felt anything, because I'm, like, I talk to myself in the dark anyway. So closing my eyes wasn't a feeling as much as it was an amplification of my hearing.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Yeah, a lot of times people will experience because it's nothing, they don't feel anything. You know, a lot of times it doesn't, it feels very neutral, like there's just it's nothing. Anybody else?
Well, I would have to say, I always feel more energy throughout my body. It shifts, because I'm not seeing things when I go inside. It's more energy, like I just keep imagining the flowing of the energy. So, because if I don't do that, then I can get some chatter coming in. So I'm trying to avoid that by just concentrating on the energy flowing in my body.
Right. So that's what we're kind of conditioned, sometimes a conditioning that's happening. But in order to get to the pure awareness, the truth of who you are that infinite being that is expansive. So a lot of people will say that background of silence actually feels expansive, and and it helps them to stop having their thoughts so much. Like you can even slow those thoughts down during that. The thought starts coming in, and just like when you're speaking, you can slow the thought and notice what it feels like between the words. So yeah, because this gives you a direct experience of yourself at your highest level of the essence of who you are, an infinite being.
I have I have a feeling that comes to mind that my best time of the day is the morning. And so I get up really early and I run about 6 miles, and just being outside the first time I'm out of the house and I experience the light and the wind and the space of being out. It's like it shuts down all awareness of everything verbal. It's not like I'm thinking anything verbal. I'm just bathing in that experience, and so I started thinking, okay, when else do I feel this? What would be a something that would help me to think about it? And I think about also when you're in pain because maybe you got a cut, you broke your arm, you injured yourself, and you feel that pain is just beating on you. You can't think of anything else. And then the first time you wake up and it's not there, there is a moment of pause where you just feel, oh my God, I don't feel anything. And it really feels good. And there's no words for it. So
Yeah.
that's.
So that would be like, the experience actually of the background of silence. It's really a nothingness that does feel peaceful and calm to people. A lot of people describe it as it's peaceful, it's calm, it has a feeling of being peaceful and calm. So yeah. Anyone else? Not will. So Rebecca, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to unmute. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. I really wasn't successful with that. I think I need more practice. Is this going to be something that's recorded that I can access?
Yes.
Yes.
It
Okay.
is. It is going to be something that is going to be recorded. And this does take some practice. This is creating new neural pathways that you're not used to. You don't have those neural pathways built. And this is the thing about this is that when you do this, the more you do this and you come to that place that there's nothing there, you are in a place, a meditative space, and you can live your life from that. So it's not like you got to meditate in the morning, meditate at night. It's like you can constantly look to see that you're in that space. A lot of people cannot do this or have difficulty doing this at first because they have a lot of things that are unresolved. And so mind chatter and inability to experience that pure awareness. But what will happen with the awareness techniques is that you will end up in that place of nothingness, and you will learn it to experience it more and more, and you will be developing those neural pathways and the ability to do this. So, I use these awareness techniques for years and years. I've been using them 15 years, and I still use them. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go on then.
And Rebecca, after the webinar today, right at the end, I'll show you a link that you can click on to get that recording.
Thank you.
Okay. When we suppress emotions that we don't want, we decrease our ability to feel any emotion like love, affection, or intimacy. So it's really important to be able to feel all emotions. We're human. Everyone has felt fear. Everyone has felt anger. Everyone has felt every feeling there is to feel throughout our lifetime. At some point, we were able to feel that feeling. But you notice a lot of people, you can tell when they have definitely suppressed their feeling level. They don't really feel a lot of emotions like love and affection and intimacy also. So expectations, this is how we want life to show up. Again, this is going back to the scenario with someone going to dinner with you and doesn't show up, and now you've made up a story about it, but your expectation was that they were going to show up and you were going to have a good time, and but you also could have expectations of something negative happening, like, oh, I don't want to go to the store to get my groceries, somebody will probably cough on me. Again, that's an expectation, fear-based expectation. There's projections also, and these are negative projections in the future, and this is very similar to that also of predicting the future is a negative experience. So this picture is showing you what it looks like when you are experiencing a feeling that is ego-driven and belief system-driven. It's like you're collapsed in the center of it, and the energy is all around you. And this is the out technique. So it's good to have kind of a visual of what that might look like. So when I take people through the out technique, there's questions I ask them, such as, where do you feel the energy? They may say, I feel it everywhere. And then I say, how far out from you does the energy field of that feeling go? Is it right here next to your body? Or is it way out there? And once they can identify the energy field, and this again may be something people have to work with, that they're not used to correlating their feelings to energy or how it feels to the body. So in this out technique, you would be going outside the energy field with your awareness, like just using your imagination, closing your eyes, using your imagination, and going out beyond the energy field. And when you feel aligned with the truth of who you are, looking back at that energy field in your mind's eye and watching it, doing nothing, but just watching it. And as you watch it, the ego itself will begin to dismantle this energy field. And you watch it until there's nothing there. So I don't know what happened to the other. So I had another picture that showed how to feel where the in technique was, but I'm not seeing that slide, so I'm thinking it somehow got deleted somewhere. But it really is, the energy field is in a very particular place. The head, the throat, the heart, the stomach, the lower body, it might be in your legs, it might be in your arms. It's very specific. And this is the one that I really want to actually have you experience. So it's going to be experiential again here. So
Holly, I may be able to put that up on the screen. I'm not sure,
okay.
but there
Yeah.
is a Let me try.
Yeah, it was the next to the last one. I thought, who knows? I was messing with it before I got
Okay,
on.
here we go. Um, is it this?
No, down, 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 down. Keep going down, down, down. This one above the man, the one above the man. Right here,
Okay.
right here. That in technique picture. That is um, that is how it feels. It feels like there's a some type of tornado, hurricane thing going on, and right in the center is where it's the most intense. Just like it is with a tornado. It's, you know, in the very, very center, it's peaceful and calm. But all around that center, where you're creating that feeling, the energy of that feeling, it becomes very, very chaotic and intense. So, but I ask people when they are experiencing a feeling to point again, to find the area first, then point to where they feel it the most. It could be anywhere. It could be eyes, it could be throat. And when you point with one finger, it's guiding your attention like a laser beam. So we're going to do a little thing with the in technique, and I'm going to walk you through it. So can everybody think about something that creates an uncomfortable feeling in them? And when you think about it, you feel it? Everybody got something? Okay. So as you're thinking about that feeling, thinking about the story related to that feeling, where in your body do you feel it? First, place your hand on the area you feel it, that you're feeling this energy on the body. Now with one finger, point to the place that feels most intense. You're going to hold your attention there like you're an eagle looking at a mouse in the field. And you're not going to make it do anything. Don't go off on trying to make it do anything or manipulate it any way. You're just looking at it. Very focused, like a laser beam. One of three things will happen. The energy might increase, it might decrease, or it might move. If it increases, just know that this is something you've been avoiding and stay focused on the place, the pinpoint place. If it's decreasing, that means it's starting to resolve. Keep holding your attention on the pinpoint place. If it moves, the intense place moves, follow it and point to that place. When it begins to decrease, keep holding your attention there until nothing is there. No energy is there anymore. It might happen immediately. It might happen in 30 seconds. And when it has decreased and there's nothing there, just notice that that nothingness is the same nothingness I was having you get in touch with the first exercise. You don't have to stay there, but when you're done, you can open your eyes. Was that simple? Yeah. See, it's so simple that we almost can't believe that it works like that. So then the next level of that is I ask you to provoke yourself, which means think about that situation again that you were just thinking about that caused you to have this uncomfortable feeling. Does anything show up again? or is there still nothing there? If something is there, again, point to the place that you feel it. Hold your attention there until it resolves. If it moves, follow it until there is nothing there. Okay. All right, so you want to go back to me, David, with the screens? It's a very interesting technique. It's very simple. I teach it to children. I've taught it to as young as 3-year-olds, and they don't have all our baggage, and they do this perfectly. It's not a problem for them. It is so easy for them.
And
Do I go back to screen share, or do you?
yeah, I've got 2 screens here, and this Zoom stuff jumps all over the place. So I was trying to find it, but I just unshared the screen. So
No,
you got
no
it.
problem. No problem. I got it here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this. So this is basically leaving you with to seek to follow your own inner guidance. And in doing so, you will bless all of life. What I want to help people do is to take responsibility for their own feelings, experience their own feelings, resolve their own feelings. Don't have to go to a therapist. You don't have to go to someone to do this. This is like when you learn these techniques, and this isn't counseling I do when it comes to this. This is training. And when we feel like you come to me for sessions, I train you where you are at. And it's different levels for different people. Some people can't even feel the feelings in their body. They have never correlated an uncomfortable emotional feeling to their body. And that may be the first step that you're working on, is that you have to practice when you feel uncomfortable feelings saying, where do I feel in my body? Or is it all over me? And once you begin to identify that and you get better at that, again, you built the neural pathways. Then when you do these techniques, they become easier and easier the more you do them. But you have to do them. And the reason why they're so wonderful is because I'm not going to be there all the time when you're going through trouble. And you might not be able to get an appointment with someone to help you with a massage or help you to resolve it any way you love to resolve it. So this is something that can be used anytime you get triggered into any uncomfortable feeling, whether it's a new one or whether it's something that is old that you didn't even know was coming up from your unconscious. So here's my information. Yep, we're getting about that time. So here's my information and how to reach me. My website is harmonyh.com. And this is my phone number, 270-206-0198. And yeah, so what I'd like to know is is open it up here for any discussion, comments, anything like that.
Well, I've had multiple sessions with Holly, and yes, it is a training, and it has really helped me dramatically because I still use these techniques when I see that there is some uncomfortableness going on, and I'm aware of, okay, what has happened for me to feel this way, and I'm starting to then put it together, analyze it, and do these techniques that I've learned from her. And it is become your awareness. And I'm one to analyze it, anyway, analyze so much. But when I really want to, feel the root cause of certain things that I have going on with me, you've helped me out so much, Holly. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you know, it's interesting. You brought up a point that I've even done this with with patients and myself that felt physical pain, and I asked them to, because in my world, which is energy medicine and energy healing, uh, pain is frozen energy. So when you put your attention in the most intense place of that frozen energy, it begins to resolve it. And you may not even know that that was related to an emotional experience. But there has been an ACE study done, adverse childhood effects, experiences, adverse childhood experiences. It's called the ACE study done by Kaiser Permanente. And they took um, thousands of people and found correlations between childhood traumas, which might be a parent died, a incarcerated parent, uh, um, a sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, alcoholic in the family, and they correlated that with physical illnesses later in life. It's a wonderful study. You should look it up. Adverse childhood experiences. It is amazing, and it really tells you how many people believe that all of our physical illnesses are related to an emotional experience that's unresolved. So for me, this is so important to be able to help people to resolve that. Yeah.
When you speak about the techniques, I got the impression it's kind of like you've handed us a violin. And these are things we need to practice. We're not going to be able to master these except taking them one thought, one experience at a time and working through that and getting better, practicing and practicing. We pick up the violin right now and it makes horrible music, but over time with that practice, I do a lot of personal study on fear because I love climbing in the mountains and going out in the wilderness where there is no trail and I'm far away from anything that's familiar. And um, interestingly enough, I'm afraid of heights. And um, so what I learned once, and I guess maybe I do this partly to challenge myself or partly to experience what is it like to feel fear and what is it like to work through it. Somebody told me once that when you're going down a mountain and you feel like you could slip and fall to your death at any moment, if you sing a song during that time and then you continue on, you will that fear will go away and you'll be able to proceed rather than freezing. And so I've practiced that. And what you've given me tonight, Holly, is the ability to connect that and my work on the mountain with those experiences in life that cause me fear. And I have a certain song that I sing to myself. And and I thought, wow, I never thought of that. I could sing that song when I'm thinking of my income taxes or
Right,
whatever
doing
it
more than
is.
just the mountain, right?
That's right. Yeah, yeah. So thank
But
you for
that's an
that.
interesting thing you're saying, David, because the thing about it is when I'm talking about chronic fear,
Mhm.
which these are suppressed emotions. So you're experiencing fear in kind of an appropriate way. You're in a height, you could fall,
Mhm.
but you have to remember when you first feel that fear, those chemicals from the glands of your body have already been released into the bloodstream, and that's why the heart beats fast, and that's why, and it takes, if you were to sing now because you're
Mhm.
resolving that feeling and going into a higher vibration feeling, it will still take about a minute to a minute and a half for those hormones and neurotransmitters to course through your bloodstream and
Mhm.
resolve.
There is an experience that climbers have that even has a name. It's called sewing machine leg. And when I was up on a high point one time, and there was ice, and it was a cliff basically. My legs started. Well, what happened is I felt like I was losing my hold, and I I held onto a rock. The rock was above me. It broke loose. So now I've got this big rock that wants to come down on me and push me off down the cliff. And and so I'm thinking, trying to stay in my mind, move the rock around behind me. What happened is my leg started shaking uncontrollably. And and it was like it had another brain. And I started talking to my leg, what are you doing? It would not stop shaking. And I couldn't do anything with my brain that would stop it from shaking. And I think that, after a while, it did go away, and I moved the rock and I threw it behind me, and it went down the cliff.
It would be interesting to see if the techniques like noticing where you're feeling the most anxiety about that, and clearing the energy field of that, and then giving you a minute to 2 minutes to let the hormones and neurotransmitters, resolve in your bloodstream.
Mhm.
It'd be interesting to see if there was something related to that that would be helpful.
Yeah. That's a statement that you just made that I'm thinking, what does that mean? so, so I'll have to think about that. I'll go back to the video.
Yeah.
Holly, and kind of playing on the tail of what David was just saying, I just wanted to mention that I mean, this works for me because I actually really like singing, but I've used singing in moments when chronic fear is coming up for me, simply to, I guess, kind of like ding that bell of, oh yeah, I need to do a process here of awareness because I'm totally overwhelmed by the visceral experience of my emotions right now, and I know that this is an old pattern. So sometimes I actually remember to sing, and it's way different than just putting on relaxing music, which I used to try and do when I was feeling so anxious that I felt like I couldn't even start doing a process. But I found that singing for me is way more effective than listening to some kind of like meditation music, even in those moments. And I'm not sure exactly why, but in our conversation, I've been pondering, well, maybe simply because it's almost like, the next step after that can be noticing where in my body I am feeling those feelings, because my own voice is kind of a reminder of like, oh, this is me. Here I am in my body, which sounds like kind of trite, but sometimes I need those reminders to be able to take the next step. So yeah, I'm enjoying the conversation so far.
Well, it brings up another aspect of that to me also, is like, we're not used to feeling our feelings fully because they can become overwhelming and intense. And as a child, I didn't know this, but I would climb a tree and go to the very top where it would sway. And I would sing about my day, and I would pray, and I would, and I would then feel better. But I was doing several things. I was discharging the energy in my energy field that wasn't mine. I was grounding with the roots of the tree, and I was with spirit in the swaying of the wind. So, it's how I kind of naturally did it. But when I quit climbing trees, now what I do, because what we're used to doing when our emotions become too intense is cry, which discharges energy. Singing would discharge the energy, but it doesn't resolve why it got created in the first place. It will rebuild another energy field and build until you're triggered by something might even be minor, because now it's like all of a sudden you've got this energy built up, and now you have this overwhelming feeling again. So, you know, I agree that like singing to get you more calm and to release some of that energy that was too intense, and then notice where on your body are you feeling it, and getting very pinpoint focused on that area. Again, not making it do anything. You're just looking at it. Your awareness of it is allowing you to experience it on a feeling level. It was created on a feeling level. You can't be intellectual about this or it doesn't resolve, because it's not an intellectual experience. It's a feeling level experience. So that when you put your attention on that point and hold it there, you're experiencing it on a feeling level. And when you fully experienced it, it's resolved.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Holly, you've taught me a lot about this technique, and I like what you just said there, that we can do different things to dissipate or distract from the energy, or soothe the energy, but that energy that has wanted a presence. It's wanted our being present with it, which to me is love, unconditional presence. Um, so, like you said, it will keep coming up if we're still in some way avoiding being present to it. So that's one of the things I like about this technique, is that it's just without thought presence and acceptance of where you are in a moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I think we're probably about at the end of our time anyway, so I will turn the screen back over to David and stop screen share.
And I
So
promise.
so these are just things to be aware of and to begin to work with. But David, I just want to make one more comment for you.
Definitely. Go ahead.
So when someone has a fear of heights, and just like it's a fear of crossing a bridge, you know, some people, it will keep them from crossing the bridge. Your fear does not keep you from going to heights, which is really nice. But when you might play with being at the height, feeling the fear, and then doing the technique to see if it will resolve the fear without singing. And
Yes.
if it doesn't, you still got singing to help you through it. But it's,
I
you
am
know,
all over it.
that's what I do with my
yeah.
clients, is I have them think about doing the thing they're afraid of doing and feeling the fear, and then not while they're doing it though, but I have even worked with people that they were like afraid of bridges, going across bridges, and I had her get in her car, and the moment she started feeling fear that she was getting on a road to the bridge, she just pulled over. We worked through that. She felt like she could drive again. She got closer to the bridge. She saw the bridge, had to pull over again, worked on that. Then she said, you know, I said, okay, now just keep thinking about, there's a deepening of each of these techniques too. I'm just teaching you, I mean, this is like a 2-day class almost. It's to teach you the techniques that or in sessions over a period of time. But finally she crossed the bridge and never had another fear crossing the bridges again.
Yes, I think that what you've shown me just now is that, yes, the singing is a kind of stopgap measure to keep me from wiping out there, but it's only just a stopgap measure. It's not the cure. It's like covering the symptom, and so yeah, I will do that, Holly. That is really helpful. And one more thing I would say about fear is that I have been places in the wilderness, especially in the Oregon Cascades, where I wasn't sure I was going to get home. And what that does, fear, you know, I would think of fear as something to avoid, but what I learned myself is that fear is like almost like a total reboot, because there are so many things that add up in life over time. And you know, as you mentioned, it's kind of like a a background noise that is, low grade disturbance in your life, that you don't realize how much damage it is causing. And what those experiences did for me, and I had a few of those experiences, it just totally rebooted my system, and all those things that had been adding up, all those low grade things that I was worried about, different issues, different obligations, different things that, things people had said or whatever there is in life that adds up. It's like, what was that compared to like not getting home today and losing my life on this mountain? And suddenly it just totally reorganized all my thinking of life. So
Well, we have these emotions for a reason. Again, that fear can be a useful or a non-useful. It's non-useful when it's unresolved and continues to run our lives. It's useful when we are about to fall off a cliff and we get that adrenaline rush and we get that energy to get us off the mountain.
And sometimes you've got to stop in those situations, because if you keep moving,
That's right.
you can be in big trouble.
Yeah.
And that goes to do not only with the mountain, but in a
Well,
lot of instances.
and I see that in Red Rock Search and Rescue. Many of the people that we rescue are experienced hikers,
Mhm.
or they've hiked a lot, and they didn't stop when they needed to stop and reevaluate where they were. They got scared. They thought they were on the wrong path.
Mhm.
And so they didn't know which way to go. They felt like they were lost. Instead of sitting down and resolving the feeling of I'm lost,
Yes,
and then
yes.
maybe having a very clear head about, being fully present. Wait a minute, I recognize that rock over there, that
Mhm.
mountaintop. I'm going to walk that way.
Mhm.
A lot of times that's who we're rescuing. It's not always the inexperienced that we're rescuing.
Yeah, it's like a lab, where you're studying yourself, and you're
Yeah.
studying the thoughts you have, how you're dealing with those thoughts and emotions. So yeah, I hope I'm not one of those people you come after.
Hope not too,
Okay.
David. All right, thank you.
I want to, well, first of all, yeah, thank you, Holly. And Rebecca had asked about where are we going to find the video. So this is valuable, what you've given us. And so I've stored these webinars on LasVegasAreaTrails.com. You go over to the health education link over on the right, click on that link, and you see all the webinars that we have done in the past year. We've done a year's worth of webinars, and they're all super valuable. Anyway, you can click on any of them. Click on Overcoming the Impact of Fear. It's got the date on it. And here you will see, Holly's webinar. And here you see a spot that it says the video replay will appear here following the webinar. So within, give me about 24 hours, just it may be sooner, but within 24 hours, I will have the video here. Here's an example of, let's see, Rosemary did a webinar on emotion code. And then here's her video. You click on it and it's going to play right here. So all of these have video replays. Holly's page will have a video replay within 24 hours. And you can, Holly, you can take the embed code from YouTube. We went over that, and I will show that to you again, but there's actually how to embed a video on your website. I've got a little video on that right here on this page. You can take the video embed code. So Holly may put this video on her website too. And that is entirely, I'd love to see it there. You can share it on YouTube, anyone. And anyone could embed this video and have it on your own web page if you'd like. Just follow these instructions, go to Holly's video, and then you can share it with others, which would be a great thing if you found value in this. So, okay. Well, thank you so very much, Holly. I am just so impressed. And, I'm looking at Denise and Annie, who have delivered powerful webinars, and their webinars are here too. And I've delivered webinars in the series, so definitely browse through some of these. Which brings to mind, next time we do the first and third Wednesday evenings, 7 to 8, and our next webinar is Annie. Annie, are we on for money as a reflection of our emotions?
Yes, and I'm so happy that I'm following Holly because this was so powerful.
Okay.
So
Money is a
I can
big,
continue
yeah.
forward with the fears and talk about money.
Good. If you can get me through that one, Andy, you are, I am not worthy to even know you. Okay. So I want to thank everyone for being here this evening, and hope you'll come back to see Annie's webinar, and then click on some of these others and benefit from them. And we're going to continue this. So this is just the first year. So, okay. Is there anything else anyone would like to share?
Well, I just want to say thank you. That was very informative, and thanks for sharing the video as well.
Definitely. That's Rebecca
Yes.
speaking. Okay. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you for being here too. And Holly, for inviting your friends and family. Wonderful.
Thank you. Very good.
Thank you. It was
Thanks,
nice to
Bill.
have all of you here.
Okay. Well, this concludes our webinar for this evening.